let's talk about Tina Goncalves for a second. On May 30th, 2014, the day before Joseph passed away, I didn't know anything about the Pawtucket Police Department. I didn't know. I probably, if you asked me at the time, I would have had to have paused to think about who the mayor was. And now I wish I never knew any of this or knew any of the bullshit that goes on in the city of Pawtucket. But let's go to May 30th, 2014. Tina Goncalves and her husband own a house in Pawtucket. She had evicted someone, this woman, and I guess she was claiming that the woman had stole a door and a carbon monoxide detector. So instead of, doing things the right way, and it's all documented, the importance of the May 30th, 2014 is because there was an IA investigation into what transpired with Tina Goncalves, her husband, and this tenant. It seems as though Tina used her rank in the Pawtucket Police Department to have others in the Pawtucket Police Department go and get a warrant for this woman's arrest. Now, this is a civil situation. It's a door. It's a carbon monoxide detector. But she pushed to get this woman arrested. So, using the Pawtucket Police Department for her door and her carbon monoxide detector. So here we are on May 30th, and Nappy Goncalves is completing his internal affairs investigation into Tina doing this. Now, this is resources that we're using in our Pawtucket Police Department so that Tina can bring this girl to court. Well, it ends up that not only is there a warrant for her arrest, they arrest her and keep her overnight away from her child so that she can go to court the next morning to let them know that the door is actually located in the basement and the carbon monoxide detector didn't work. So on May 30th, 2014, that was what they were hot on the trail with. They were hot on the trail of completing an IA investigation, which did show that she abused her power. But these are our resources. So Tina is using our police department, the legal system, and everything to her benefit. And then when she goes to court, it appears that she's also the lawyer for her husband or the legal for the case. So that was on May 30th, 2014, Nappy Goncalves completed that IA investigation. On the very next fucking day, they did not have resources to send major crimes for my son's death. This is because they probably used up quite a bit of resources between running down and getting the warrant, sending the police out to arrest the woman, the overnight stay, the next morning transporting her to court, all for a door and a carbon monoxide detector. I have the paperwork. Now, one of the very obvious things was when I had asked for the obvious, hiding of information. I asked for any IA investigations as it relates to Tina Goncalves. And they said that there were none. There were none. There were none. Nobody questioned her abuse of power as a major. Nobody questioned it. This is now, Tina, although the house is in Pawtucket, Tina don't live in Pawtucket. I don't know what cops were involved. I'd have to look back at the paperwork. But really, this is what we're doing? This is what we're doing with our Pawtucket Police Department. She was so upset over a door and a carbon monoxide detector that she used resources from the Pawtucket Police Department in order to recover the money for these items or to punish this woman. You know, she spent the night away from her child and was transported to court the next day. And this should have been a civil situation. I can guarantee you there is absolutely no way that the Pawtucket Police Department would do this for anybody else. For a citizen in the city, a taxpayer in the city. They would have never done that. And then when the IA investigation came out, Nappy clearly shows that it was an abuse of power. That should have never happened. Should have never happened. And the very next day, I get excuses of budget cuts, they don't have the staff, all this stuff. But they had the staff and they had everything for a fucking door and a carbon monoxide detector. Now, make that make sense to me. Make that make sense to me. And Nappy was detective in IA. We're using our resources for Tina? Come on. So, I'm sure it's not as offensive to other people. Very, very offensive to me. Very offensive to me. But, you know, I mean, she gets caught, you know, on work time in Seekonk, driving the city vehicle everywhere, getting into accidents with the city vehicle, all that. And, you know, we're not supposed to question that. Oh, God forbid you question that. Well, wait a minute. Where were you? What were you doing? But, you know, usually, and it's so funny because there's one particular person down at the Pawtucket Police Department that actually named her the Invisible Chief. Named her. Laughs about it. And because she's invisible. And he actually is no longer a police officer. He slid into the VIN checker position, a civil position. So he went from being a police officer and then took up a spot as the VIN checker. One day I called the Pawtucket Police Department and I was asking for one particular department, and he sent me continually to someone else. Continually. Because that was his game. In fact, Frank Milos had those audios, and he was totally disgusted. Because you clearly hear me asking, and then when I call back and say, you sent me to the wrong department, it was like it was a big fucking joke. But that's what they do. They play games. We're gonna talk a little bit about a certain police officer. I'm not even gonna say it right now. He no longer works for the city, but we're gonna be talking about him.